Good evening. My name is Elena, and today I invite you to listen to the Tatar fairy tale in verse called Shurale. I wish you a pleasant listening experience and sweet restful dreams. There is a village near Kazan called Kirlai. Even the chickens in that Kirlai know how to sing. A wonderful land. Although I'm not originally from there, I've kept my love for it. He worked on the earth. He sowed, plowed, and tended. Is it known as a big village? No, on the contrary, it's not big. And the river of the people is Pride, just a small spring. This side is forested, forever alive in memory. The grass spreads out like a velvet blanket. There, the people have never known either cold or heat. In its turn, the wind will blow, and in its turn, the rain will come. From raspberries and wild strawberries, everything in the forest is colorful and bright. In an instant, you gather a whole bucket of berries. I often lay on the grass and looked up at the skies. The endless forest seemed to me like a fearsome army. Exactly like warriors standing pines, lindens, and oaks. Under the pine, sorrel and mint, under the birch, mushrooms. How many blue, yellow, and red flowers are intertwined there? And their fragrance flowed in the sweet air. They flew away, flew back, and the moths landed, as if they were entering into a dispute with them, and the petals reconciled. Birdsong, cheerful chirping, echoed in the silence, and filled my soul with piercing joy. Here there is music and dancing and singers and circus performers. Here are the boulevards and theaters and wrestlers and violinists. This fragrant forest is wider than the sea, higher than the clouds. Like the army of Genghis Khan, it is loud and powerful. And before me stood the glory of ancestors' names, and cruelty and violence and the strife of tribes. I depicted the summer forest, but I did not sing it. Also my poem, our autumn, our winter, and the young beauties, and the joy of our celebrations, and the spring sabantui. Oh, my poem, with memories, don't disturb my soul. But wait, I was daydreaming. There's a paper on the table. I was going to tell you about the antics of Shurale. I'm about to start now, reader. So don't blame me. I'm losing my mind. Every time I remember, I get carried away. Of course, in this amazing forest, you will meet a wolf and a bear and a cunning fox. Here hunters often see squirrels. Sometimes a gray hare will dash by. Sometimes a horned moose will flash by. There are many secret paths and treasures here. They say, there are many terrible beasts and monsters here, they say. Many tales and legends roam across our native land. And about the jinn, and about the pear, and about the terrifying Shurale. Is it true? Endless like the sky is the ancient forest, and no less than in the sky, perhaps, in the forest of wonders. I will begin my tale about one of them, a brief one. And that's just my way, I'll sing in verses. One night, when the moon glides shining through the clouds, a young man set off from the village into the forest to gather firewood. He quickly reached the river and immediately got to work with his axe. Chop, chop, he's cutting down trees, while all around is a dense thicket. As it often happens in summer, the night was cool and damp. Because the birds were asleep, the silence grew. The woodcutter is busy with his work. You know, he's just chopping away, chopping. For a moment, the enchanted young man forgot himself. Listen, a terrible scream echoes in the distance, and the axe stopped in the raised hand. And our bewildered woodcutter stood frozen in astonishment. He looks and can't believe his eyes, wondering who this person is. The Jigit, the robber or the ghost, this crooked freak. How ugly he is? Fear takes hold against your will. The nose is crooked, like a fishing hook. The arms and legs, just like branches, would scare even the bravest. His eyes blaze with malice, burning in the black hollows. Even during the day, not just at night, that gaze is frightening. He looks like a very thin person with a leg. The narrow forehead is adorned with a horn the size of our finger. He has crooked fingers on his hands and polo shin. 10 fingers, ugly, sharp, long, and straight. And into the eyes of the freak, seeing that they lit up like 2 fires. The woodcutter asked bravely, "What do you want from me?" "Young Jigit, don't be afraid, I'm not drawn to robbery. But even though I'm not a bandit, I'm not a righteous saint. Why did I let out a cheerful scream when I saw you? Because I kill people with tickling. I'm used to it. Each finger is designed to tickle more wickedly. I kill a person by making them laugh. Come on, move your fingers, my brother. Play with me in tickling." And it made me laugh. "All right, I'll play, woodcutter," in response to him, only on one condition. "Do you agree or not?" "So speak up, little man, please be bolder." "All the conditions are straightforward, but let's play quickly. If that's the case, listen to me. Whatever you decide, it doesn't matter to me. You see a thick, big, and heavy log. The spirit of the forest. Let's work together first. We'll carry the log together on the ORB. Did you notice the big gap on the other end of the log? Hold the log there tighter. I need all your strength." Shurale glanced at the indicated spot, and the Jigit reluctantly agreed with Shurale. He placed his long, straight fingers into the mouth of the log. "Wise men, can you see the simple trick of the woodcutter? The wedge is plugged in advance. Is he knocking it out with an axe? While knocking it out, he's cleverly executing a secret plan. Shurale won't budge, won't move a hand. He stands there, not understanding the clever invention of humanity. And there it flew out with a whistle. The thick wedge disappeared into the mist. The fingers of the Shurale got pinched and got stuck in the crack. The Shurale saw the deception. The Shurale is screaming, shouting. He calls for help from his brothers. He calls for the forest folk. With a penitent plea, he speaks to the Jigit. Have mercy on me, let me go, Jigit. I will never harm you, Jigit, nor your son. I will never touch your entire kin. Oh, man. I won't let anyone harm you. If you want, I'll bring a vow. I'll tell everyone. I'm a friend of the Jigit. Let him roam in the forest. It hurts my finger. Give me freedom. Let me live on earth. What do you gain, Jigit, from the suffering of the Shurale? He cries, writhing in despair, moaning, howling, not himself at all. The woodcutter doesn't hear him. He's getting ready to go home. Will the cry of the sufferer not soften this soul? Who are you? Who are you, heartless one? What is your name, Jigit? Tomorrow, if I make it to the meeting with our brothers, when asked who your offender is, whose name will I mention? I'll say it, brother. Just don't forget this name. I was nicknamed last year. And now it's time for me to set off. Shurale is screaming and howling, wanting to show his strength, wanting to break free from captivity, to punish the woodcutter. I will die, forest spirits, help me quickly. The villain caught me last year and it ruined me. And in the morning, Shurale came running from all directions. What's wrong with you? Are you out of your mind? What's bothering you, fool? Calm down, be quiet. We can't stand the shouting. Caught last year, why are you crying in this one? The Tatar folk tale, The Will. There lived in the village a poor old man, and he had a son named Ahmed. So the old man is getting ready to die and calls his son to him. The old man says, "My boy, I want to leave you a will before I die." The son was surprised. What kind of will, he thinks? Maybe my poor father will leave something behind if he worked his whole life without rest and didn't accumulate any wealth. And the old man sighed and said, "I want you to have it. In each of the neighboring villages, a house." These words puzzled Ahmed even more. What kind of houses, he thinks, if even ours is going to fall apart tomorrow? And the old man continues, "Don't be in a hurry to greet people first. Let them greet you first. That's when you take off your hat and bow." The son fell into thought. It's really bad, my poor parent. How can I suddenly become proud? Perhaps on the very first day, all my neighbors will turn away from me and even call me an ignoramus. The old man took his son by the hand. And my last piece of advice, he said, always eat well. He wanted to add something else, but he sighed one last time and passed away. The son cried and mourned, but work doesn't wait. It's about time to head to the field, to plow and to work. Ahmed harnessed his skinny mare. He sees people walking down the street, and they're all familiar faces. Everyone knows him, almost since he was a baby. You should greet everyone first. But what about my father's will? It cannot be violated either. Ahmed returned home, sat down at the table, and started thinking to himself, "And what am I doing? Are you going to the field?" After all, my father first and foremost instructed me to take care of the house in every village. He felt so sorry for himself that he suddenly felt hungry. Ahmed found a crust of black bread. He was about to take a bite, but then he remembered. Father commanded to eat well. And here was a piece of bread, half with the crumb. It was already getting dark, and Ahmed was still lost in thought. What will they do next? He hears a knock at the window, and a traveler enters the house, from head to toe in travel dust, an empty sum behind him. "Come in, good man," Ahmed says to him. "You'll be my guest. I always have a corner for you. Just don't hold it against me for the lack of treats. Besides this stale crust, there's nothing else in the house." "Why is that?" asked the traveler. "I live by my parents' blessing," replies Ahmed. "But I can't even gnaw on this crust. Father bequeathed to eat deliciously. I can't even go to the field. And how can I go if I first need to think about the house in every village?" My father didn't allow me to be the first to greet anyone. You can't avoid all the good people. You can't avoid them even from a distance. The traveler smiled sadly. He says your father was a good man, a wise man. You are true son and worthy of your father. No, that's not how you understood him. Here's what I'll tell you. Now go to bed, and in the morning, get up before dawn and go to the field. Don't worry about the rest. Everything will come on its own. The pre-dawn fog hadn't lifted yet, but Ahmed was already on his feet. With caution, yes, he drove out of the gates, looking back cautiously. He looks around, and there's no one there. He drove a mile and saw no one. The village is already behind. Not a single person passing by. Ahmed cheered up. Either I'm lucky, he thinks, or I'm the first one up in the village. I need to do the same tomorrow. By noon he had plowed his little piece of land, harrowed it, and sown rye. It felt even more uplifting in his soul. He wanted to lie down on the edge and rest a bit. But he sees a man coming towards him across the field. Ahmed got scared. Now I definitely have to be the first to say hello. And he wanted to hide. Yeah, where to? The man took off his hat himself. Hello, he says. Beautiful, you're working. But my horse has died. Now my plot is not fully plowed, and the rye is not sown, and it looks like my kids will have to go all winter without bread. That can't be, says Ahmed. Where's your plot? Yes, it's over there, across the road, by the neighboring village. The sun was setting when Ahmed and his new friend threw the last seeds into the ground. The last seeds, and finally, they wiped the sweat off their brows. How can I thank you? The friend pondered. I won't let you go just like that, Ahmed. Let's go into my house. Yeah, what am I saying? From now on, he is just as much mine as he is yours. The doors of this house are always open for you. I can't today, says Ahmed. I need to make it to my village before it gets dark. But now I have a home in your village, and that's the main thing. Then take a flatbread for the road. It's from the same seeds, from the same grain that we just sowed. Ahmed was the first to head out to the fields and the last to return to the village. And people always notice. They love kind and hard-working individuals. Everyone is happy to greet Ahmed and ask about his health. Ahmed arrived home, sat down at the table, and started chewing on the flatbread. He began to remember his father's will. Here, on the journey of the traveler, it naturally came to mind. And after a hard day, the flatbread seemed so delicious. Sweeter than honey,